Russia's plan on the first day of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine was shockingly bold. Seize a strategic airfield just 10 kilometers from the capital of Kyiv and use it to fly in troops, armor, and supplies in a lightning airborne assault. But what unfolded at Hostomel Airport became one of the most consequential early battles of the war, and a textbook example of how vertical envelopment can go horribly wrong under modern combat conditions. On the morning of February 24, 2022, a massive formation of Russian helicopters, including Mi-8 transports, AG-52, Ka-52 attack helicopters, and Mi-24 gunships, set off from Belarus at low altitude to evade radar and strike deep into Ukrainian territory toward the Hostomel airstrip. But Ukrainian National Guard and intelligence specialists were already in defensive positions and immediately opened fire with anti-air weapons, shooting down several helicopters and disrupting the assault long before the main force reached the airfield. The initial Russian helicopter wave came under heavy anti-aircraft fire and lost multiple aircraft. According to Ukrainian reports, at least 2 Ka-52s, 3 Mi-8s, and 1 Mi-24 were brought down. This stopped the Russians landing troops on the runway, and others were forced to crash land. Russian aircraft and Su-24 bombers attempted to suppress defenses with missile strikes, but Ukrainian forces, using light weapons, manpads, and improvised defensive positions, managed to hold their ground. Despite arriving under fire, a contingent of elite Russian airborne troops from units such as the 31st Air Assault Brigade did make it onto the airfield and engaged Ukrainian troops. But the Russian soldiers encountered fierce organized opposition. As Russian troops pushed deeper into the terminal and perimeter, Ukrainian forces from the 3rd Special Purpose Regiment, the 4th Rapid Reaction Brigade, and mechanized brigades mounted a counterattack, which was supported by artillery. This forced the airborne troops off key positions, making the runway unusable for fixed-wing transport aircraft, which were supposedly intended to land follow-on forces. What turned an already costly air assault into a broader disaster was the failure of follow-on reinforcement plans. Reports indicate that multiple Il-76 transport aircraft carrying additional paratroopers and equipment were preparing to land from within Ukrainian territory. But Ukrainian artillery and mobile defenses made the airstrip too dangerous and forced those large transports to turn back, depriving the initial assault of critical strength. Meanwhile, Russian commanders also planned a massive second wave of rotary-wing aircraft, sometimes described in propaganda as many as 200 helicopters. But in action, these two were largely unable to secure a sustained airbridge due to the contested airspace, concentrated Ukrainian anti-air positions, and effective use of terrain and mobile fire teams by defenders. By the end of the first day, the airfield was a scene of Russian devastation. Ukraine's defenders, many of whom were lightly armed, from National Guard units that had been stationed near the hydroelectric plant and airport prior to the invasion, had not only blunted the assault, but also inflicted heavy losses on the Russians. Estimates from Ukrainian military intelligence suggest that around 200 specialist airport capture troops were killed in the fighting around the airport, among the heaviest losses of trained airborne assault specialists in a single engagement anywhere on the battlefield. The tactical failure at Hostomel wasn't simply about soldiers or equipment lost. It reshaped Russia's operational plan for the entire northern axis of the invasion. Without a secure airfield near Kyiv, Russian forces could not fly in armor or resupply by air as intended. Instead, they had to switch to a traditional ground advance from Belarus, which proved slower and more exposed to Ukrainian artillery and ambushes than planners had expected. This ultimately derailed the rapid blitzkrieg that Moscow hoped would capture Kyiv in a matter of days. Analysts point to several key reasons for the failure. Russia failed to suppress Ukrainian air defenses before launching the assault, meaning helicopters and transports operated in contested airspace, where manpads and light anti-aircraft weapons could still strike them. Many Russian troops reportedly were not fully informed of their mission until already airborne, reducing coordination and cohesion on the ground. And the lack of a secure perimeter around the airfield made the runway itself vulnerable to artillery and interdiction, preventing the establishment of the safe, consolidated zone needed for subsequent landings and resupply. In the close quarters fighting that followed, Ukrainian artillery played a huge role in denying use of the runway by destroying its surface and keeping Russian armor suppressed, while mechanized Ukrainian brigades maneuvered around Hostomel to threaten the flanks of the airborne forces, demonstrating how combined arms defense can undo a vertical assault even when outnumbered. Although Russian forces eventually reached and occupied parts of Hostomel and the surrounding town, operations at the airport itself were never used as the decisive airbridge that planners had envisioned for the seizure of the capital. Kyiv and its runway quickly became unusable for large aircraft. The world's largest aircraft, the Antonov An-225, housed in a hangar at the airstrip, was severely damaged or destroyed in the chaos of the battle, a symbolic loss that illustrated the broader failure of the assault. The consequences of Hostomel's failure echo far beyond the town's perimeter. It forced Russia to adapt its operational plan, prolonging the battle for Kyiv and giving Ukrainian forces valuable time to reinforce and fortify the capital's defenses. In tactical terms, this operation became a case study in the limitations of helicopter-borne and airborne insertion operations against a prepared and well-integrated air defense and ground force, especially when logistical support and suppression of enemy air defenses are inadequate. This was a lesson that military analysts now study as part of joint force operations in contested environments. If you liked this Ukraine military analysis, please like and subscribe for more.